Oh, we're finally talking about what a fucking dumpster fire Canada's become? I've only been fucking bitching and complaining for over a year now. My husband and I make well over $100,000 a year. We are barely affording to fucking live here. Canada is a fucking shit fire. Gas is the highest it's ever been that I've seen in my 25 years. And this has all been basically happening since COVID started for us. And in the rise of Justin Trudeau dumbass. We are inviting so many people into Canada when we don't even have the fucking resources for these people. When our own population is suffering and barely surviving, even though they are making more than the majority of people around the world. My husband and I, as I was saying, make well over $100,000 a year. We can barely afford to do groceries. We can barely afford to put gas in our cars at the end of the week because of how expensive everything is. You can hardly get any groceries for $100. You can get maybe 4, 5, 6 things for $100. You can hardly pay to feed yourselves. You can hardly pay to heat your homes. You can hardly pay to put gas in your cars. And yet we're still inviting a bunch of people into our country when we do not have the housing to even support the people that are currently living here. I know so many individuals that cannot even find a fucking place to live. One, because even here in Nova Scotia, our rental prices are on par with BC and Ontario. As ludicrous as that sounds, it's fucking true. And not only, there are restrictions on if you can have pets or children. Airbnb has a fuck ton to do with this. There needs to be a cap put on the amount of properties that someone can own. We own our own house. Why do we own our own house? Because we knew that there was going to be no way we were going to be able to afford monthly rent of $1,600 to $2,700 plus utilities. We knew that nobody would take on us plus our animals because nobody wants to touch anyone with animals, even if they're responsible pet owners. And we were lucky enough to be able to save money because my husband crashed his car and we got insurance for it. Well, he didn't crash his car, somebody hit him. But we got insurance for it, and then boom, we had a down payment. But now, we're barely keeping our head afloat. We can barely put fucking oil in our gas tank for the house, in our oil tank for the house, to heat our house during the winter time because our mortgage, Nova Scotia Power, is screwing the fuck out of us. Grocery prices, we can barely even afford to eat the fruit and vegetables. We can't barely afford to eat fruit and vegetables. We get meat and potatoes and sidekicks. Sidekicks have been saving our fucking life. We're barely able to take care of our animals properly. God knows if a vet appointment happens out of the blue that we forgot about or an emergency happens, we're fucked. And that's making over $100,000 a year. My husband can't even afford to fucking get work done regularly on his car that he's driving over an hour to work. And I mean regular maintenance because he's driving over 200 kilometers a day to work. Plus putting gas in that car for that 200 kilometer a day trip to and from work. Because we couldn't afford to live in the Halifax area because of how fucking expensive it is. Halifax, more like Ontario. Canada has gone to shit. Gone to shit. Good fucking luck if you're coming into Canada. The amount of people that I grew up with, that I know, are leaving because you cannot live here. You cannot buy a fucking house here. Like, unless you're a doctor, a veterinarian, someone who's making close to $200,000 a year, you're fucked. And we're still letting refugees in. We're still letting people immigrate here when there are literally people that are coming here that are homeless now because there's nothing for them. There is no homes. There is no apartments. because we are stretched so fucking thin. And I'm seeing all these videos from people who just came here saying how fucked it is. Yep, welcome to our nightmare the last 4 or 5 years. I do not even understand how single parents are doing it, how anybody with children are doing it. The baby bonus can't be that good. What are we supposed to do, Canada? Why are we so worried about everybody else's fucking problems, yet we're not worried about our own problems? Canada has gone to shit. And I'm so glad that people are actually speaking the fuck up about it and telling everybody that it has gone to shit. Something needs to be done about it. I don't know what the fuck we can do about this, but it's ridiculous. People in the States, of all places, are better off than we are. How fucked up. I don't even want to talk about the fact that we've owned this house for over a year and we have been able to do nothing with it. Because there's been no extra money. Because we've been barely able to put gas in our fucking car. To put food in our refrigerator. We can't even buy fresh produce anymore. I seriously have no clue where Canada's going from this point on. But a recession needs to fucking happen. Nobody is able to live in these conditions anymore. People making $30, $40 an hour are struggling right now. Don't even talk about the people making under that, because they're probably so fucked. There's so many new homeless people in Canada right now. New refugees that are homeless because there's no fucking places for them to live. New homeless people because landlords suck and they're kicking people out for stupid reasons or turning their rental into an Airbnb. The amount of houses I've seen go up for sale around here, sell, and then not even a week later turn into ridiculous price rentals owned by people from Ontario is crazy. I can't even fucking believe it. There's so many Niagara landlords now in Nova Scotia. There are so many new pets that are up for adoption because people can't have them anymore because nobody will rent to them. It is ruining their chances of having a roof over their heads. People on these free groups that I'm a part of asking for tents and mattresses because they need to sleep outside because they can't afford to live in an apartment anymore. I don't even want to know the state of our fucking warming houses here, where all these poor people that are forced out of living in an apartment because of how ludicrously priced it is, having to live in a warming center or in a tent on the side of the street. We're fucked. Do not come to Canada.